And welcome back to Proline. I'm Dave Cokin, joined by Jim Feist. We're coming to you from Las Vegas, where college football is already in action as far as the windows are concerned. And we're going to talk about some betting tips. First, let me tell you about my entire NFL preseason deal. This is from the Hall of Fame game right through the last week of preseason. Action almost every day. 4 weeks of plays for $29. I want to get you started and build your bankroll with a big high roller that's going tonight. Plays every day, all for just $29. 855-472-2577. Jim, your baseball games of the month in year combined 14-4 run. 35-9 on those high roller releases. It's crazy.
It's been a sick run. Thank you, high heavens.
Is this wood?
This is wood, and we're going to knock on it. That's right, Dave. 15-4 baseball run last week, as well as 114-67 overall, plus 36-10 with my high rollers. You can get one of those high roller plays tonight, along with 4 weeks of NFL preseason for $29. Just call 866-546-9467.
All right, so I'm going to throw a few things at you here.
Okay.
And I'll chime in with a couple of opinions on my own.
Okay.
But these are betting tips. Let's start, this is stuff that recreational bettors do on a regular basis. Let's find out whether pros do it as well. And we'll start with parlays, when to use them, any value with 3 or 4 teamers. 2 teamers, they're hard to cash on their own.
You're not getting enough value with 2 teamers. I think, though, that you can modify that discussion by saying if you're a correlated parlay, like, for example, this team, the team playing and the over, under. So you got the total and the side in the same game. That's a correlated parlay. That gives you a little bit better of an edge. You're getting the same price as if you're betting a team over here and over here. But in this case, you have a feeling and a prediction of what's going to happen in the game. So they're going to run the ball a lot more than people think, and you feel that's the case. So you're probably looking at a under in that situation. And if you're getting a sizable dog, that gives you more value, because if you cut the price down in the game, you're getting more value by taking points. So parlays, if you're going to bet overall parlays, it should be 3 teamers. But if it's a correlated parlay, I could drop down to a two-teamer.
Let's talk about following the sharp dollars. Now, this is something that has dramatically changed, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything that's changed more in terms of betting approach than this has since the advent of the internet, really, and it's really taken off over the last few years. I'm going back to the 80s, and I'm going to tell you that if you knew where the sharp money was going, you followed the sharp money, you won. You won on a regular basis. I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore, because now you've got people, everybody's sharp, okay? It's really tough to figure out where the actual sharp money is as opposed to where it's not. It's comical. On Sundays, if you follow Twitter, you'll have the sharps versus the square. Somebody posting sharps on this, squares on this, the pros versus the Joes. And you look at the results at the end of the day, and they're 50-50. To me, that whole landscape has changed from where it used to be, especially in the NFL.
Absolutely right. There's more money out there.
Yep.
And not all of the big money that moves numbers is sharp. But we think because it's moving a number, somebody comes in and plops down 20,000 on a side.
And here come the steam chasers.
You would think that's a sharp bet.
Right.
But because there's so much money out there in square hands, that is not a sharp bet. So how you find the sharp better, I can't help you with, because you have to know the players yourself and know what they're moving on, which fortunately Dave and I do know people, and they are sharp, and they do make moves, and we find out who they are. But you can't tell from the tote board anymore.
No.
Because there's so much square money out there that's big square money. Some of it's Asian, some of it's European, and they really don't know what they're doing any more than a small bet.
All I'll say is this, and this has become somewhat of a myth that's out there, where if you look at the bet percentage at whatever book, and then you see the money, the line moving the opposite way. Well, it's obviously sharp money it isn't necessarily sharp
Used
money.
to be a
It
great
used to be.
theory.
That used to be fantastic.
Great theory.
Absolutely great.
Yeah.
If you could,
We called it a reverse line move.
yeah, if you were sitting on Sunday morning and you saw 70% of the, you could go to covers.
Yeah.
And if you saw that 70% of the people were on Dallas and the line's going toward Philadelphia, the Eagles were the play. I'm not saying a flat out bet the other way. I'm not suggesting that it doesn't work, but it's become a 50-50 enterprise.
Absolutely.
So to me, you have to look elsewhere. Now, one of the things we are seeing, and I do think this is, it doesn't mean it's going to automatically win, but these are at least sharp opinions. The early college football numbers that are up at various books. I know the Westgate's putting them up, put them up early this year, the Superbook. The Golden Nuggets put them up, the South Point's put them up. We've seen some substantial early line moves on some games that aren't really big games in college football. Temple against Army in week 1. Arkansas State against Toledo. Indiana was a 4-point bump playing at Florida International, went from 4 to 8. Those are sharp moves. Doesn't mean they're going to get there, but those are at least plays that are being made by people who are really into the college football game and have a good idea what they're doing.
And the reason for that would be the timing of the bets.
Yeah.
Because your square players are not betting college football in June and July. It's just not happening. But the people in the know that have some inside information, perhaps, they are betting those. And so those moves are something to put in under your cap and use them later on, because when they're betting on a team like that, Indiana against Florida International, they're either saying Indiana is way better than people give them credit for, or Florida International is way worse. And you need to put that under your bonnet and use that the first couple of weeks of the season to see who was right.
This isn't a bonnet. Okay. All right, so let's look at the teasers. If you go back to my days in the 70s and up until 81 when I was on the other side of the counter, not legally, the more teasers that were bet with me, the better I liked it. Sucker bet. Pure, flat-out sucker bet. That's why they called them teasers. Talk about something that's changed over the years. The books hate NFL teasers now. They don't do well with them. Players win the NFL teasers.
No, the players have gotten sharper,
Yep.
and the books didn't adjust quick enough, and teasers are a winnable product, and I use them a lot. And go for example. You get a 13-point. I don't play teasers in college because there's too much of a spread in talent.
To me, it's only an NFL bet.
Right, it's an NFL bet, and so you have a 13-point favorite in the pros, and you don't want to lay 13. I mean, that's a monster losing proposition over time. I mean, it's probably a 40% bet if you're going to bet a favorite laying 13 points in the NFL. But how about knocking that down to maybe 6? Or if you go 10 points, you're going down to 3. If you go 13 points, you can play all those. You're going down to even. So now you got to combine it with other teams. So yes, you have to find other teams to fit. But if you're really good at this and you can factor in totals, you can correlate them. You get this team laying 0 when it's a 13-point favorite, and because they're going to dominate the other side, it's another bet. So you go from, say, 49 down to, there are ways to play teasers. I play them. I know other professional people that play them as well, and they definitely cash.
All right, so let's say somebody's starting off the season with, we'll just create a figure. Let's say they've got a $2,000 bankroll. What would you recommend in terms of a percentage play, and should it vary?
Well, first of all, this isn't, when you have a $2,000 bankroll, you're not betting to make a living. You're betting, betting for recreation.
But most bettors are recreational bettors.
Right. So in this case, you want to last for the whole season. I'd say a $100 play is probably max. I'm going to say $50 to $100. Now, not only do you have to monitor what percentage of your bankroll, but how many games you're playing. I mean, you could make 5% bets, and you have your bankroll.
See you later.
It's gone. You have to pick out 1 or 2 games. You got to bet $50 on each game. You might bet a $50 parlay on, say, 3 teams. which I recommend, again, 3 teams. Why do I say 3 teams? Because you're getting close, very close, to the real natural odds. A 3-team parlay plays very close to what it should be, where you're getting robbed on most of the other parlays. So that's what I would say. 5% is the most I would bet, and I wouldn't bet very many of them.
And have as many outs as you can, because line shopping is a great value, and don't panic if you have a bad weekend. Everybody has them. Don't go on tilt. If you want to get free plays every day and a recorded message from those of us here on this panel and others as well, call 888-478-9222.
Also, ProlineTV.com. Click on the subscribe button. You're going to get notifications on videos. Plus, you're going to get a code to give you 7 days of free service, absolutely free, from me, ProlineTV.com.
And that's going to do it for this edition of Proline. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week right here on Proline.